Hi everyone, welcome back to another EZLynx Live. I'm your host Ryan Buchema, and on today's show, today we're talking all things Q3. Our Q3 release recently came out. We're going to be talking about all the cool things that we've had and highlight a couple items for you. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing I want to talk about today is going to be our new live support chat option. That's right, in our little help widget, whenever you need help, when you can look up related articles in the system on how to do things, you also now have the ability to chat live with one of our support reps. So let's get EZLynx pulled up real quick and let's take a look and see how that actually works. So in order to access the help widget, all right, let's go ahead and come up here. So we're all familiar with the big question mark. This is our support widget. This is where you guys have come, up until this point, you've come here to be able to look up information related to like some FAQs, maybe some training documentation, how to do stuff in the system. And that's still going to be there, but we've added an extra layer of fun on top of that. So if we go ahead and click on that option, you'll see two new areas. You'll see one that says message us, which is right there, and then below it, you'll see one that says the FAQs. So this is all of the knowledge-based articles if you want to figure out how to do something in accounting, or if you want to figure out how to add an integration and connect. You can, of course, search for those right here. But the cool thing that we want to drag your attention to, if you click up there where it says support, now you can actually chat with support. So if you want to actually be able to chat with them, you can do so. Now it's really important to note that this will be turned on whenever the support window of operations, whenever they're open for the day. So if you pull open this chat and they're not there yet, you'll see an option where it says add email address so that they can maybe try to reach out to you that way. But support's currently online, so we're gonna send a little chat in there that says, hey, I'm having trouble logging in. I'm gonna go ahead and send that, and you get a couple of cool things happens here, right? Some things that you want to know. First off, you can actually see some related articles that's going to try to help you with that, right? And that's going to also ask you, was this helpful? This is really, really, really important to do. So they do have, as part of this widget, in-browser notifications. So one of the things you don't want to have to do is just sit here and wait for somebody to respond. Maybe you've got other things that you need to do. Maybe you didn't have trouble logging in, which is a bad example. Maybe you just had trouble accessing something on an applicant's account, right? So you type in that you had trouble accessing it. If you turn on the browser notifications, whenever support reaches back out to you, you'll have a pop-up that actually appears right here that says, hey, support's reached back out. That way you can continue on with your day. Or maybe you reach out to them right before lunch, right? And then you go to lunch, you can come back. If the widget's not open, you just look for the notification to be there, and you say, oh yeah, great, they reached out to me. So of course we want to enable the browser notifications. It'll ask you to do all that kind of general stuff with respect to your browser. And of course you can say that none of these articles were helpful, know that they didn't help, I'm sorry that wasn't really helpful. And then you can actually either rephrase your question or talk to the agent. Yeah, sure, let me get you in touch with somebody. I still need help accessing, let's say, Sales Center, something that actually might be different than if you're not in the system being able to log in and chat. So I still need help accessing Sales Center. So it's going to send that off to support, and momentarily support will reach back out to you with an actual reply and hopefully get your situation resolved. So that's really, really cool. We definitely want to draw your attention to it. Like I'd mentioned, your frequently asked questions, all those knowledge-based articles are all still here, so you can still access them this way. The next thing that we want to talk about is some changes that we made in Automation Center. So if we go to that second tab up there, here we go. Here's Automation Center. We're all familiar with that. And we've added some brand new actions. So if we go ahead and start a new workflow. Now these are the templates. As we scroll through these are templates that we've already created for you guys. So if you need help getting a workflow started, figuring out where you want to go, look at one of these. I mean, we've got some stuff already kind of set up for you guys. You can kind of change it to what might make sense for you guys at your agency if you want, but that's kind of nice, these nice little helpful templates. But if we go down, let's say we're going to do a new customer workflow. Some things to note real quick that we've added here, we added some new filters for you. So one thing that we added from a filter standpoint is you can now filter workflows based on state. So maybe every single time something happens in the state of, I'll say Texas, right? And let's say every single time that the line of business is auto, personal auto, I want XYZ to happen. We also have an additional filter that we've added in here. So as we scroll down, we can also get to rating state is another one that you can add as a filter to filter how your new customer workflow would trigger. But the important thing that we want to kind of note today is as you come over here, yes, we do want to delete that action. So as we come over here, we have some new actions right down here for you. So we have an action that is generate agency documents, and we have another one that says generate client documents, right? So what's the differences between those? They're automated documents that get created, but what are they, right? So let's first talk about agency documents. Agency documents are going to be generated documents that you can choose. If you click on it, you can choose what type of agency accord forms or any agency form that you have to auto-generate in the system, right? And every one of those documents that gets generated in the workflow will automatically come to this folder right here that says auto-generated docs, and you'll be able to see them all right here, right? And we'll talk about these cool things here in a minute. Generate client documents. So what's the big difference here? Well, it has to do with what we kind of highlighted or I circled around the Client Center thing a little while ago. So generate client documents will not only generate documents and store them in that folder for you so that they're neatly organized. At the same time, it will automatically share those documents to Client Center, right? So right off the bat, you don't have to worry about an auto-generated document going back in and then sharing it to the customer. The documents that you choose in this workflow will automatically get shared to Client Center for you. So that's really cool. You don't have to waste time on that, and that's just a little bit more automation that we're putting into the system to take out some of those non-revenue generating tasks and let the system do it for you. But one thing I do want to kind of talk about here is, why would you use these? Or what would be some scenarios that you would use these different options for? So let's talk about from like an external use, right? Maybe you have like a trucking account. What you may want to do with auto document generation is agencies can leverage this with the new customer trigger, they can maybe share best practices, right, via Client Center. So if I utilize this option right here, generate client documents, maybe I have some best business practices that I want to share with that new commercial customer about how to manage their trucking fleet. And I can automatically share that to them via Client Center. So that's really cool. Maybe another thing that I want to do is be able to, from an external standpoint, leverage the retention center trigger. So anytime like a renewal comes in, maybe there are certain things based on that workflow. There may be a generated document that I want to be able to send to the customer through Client Center that says, hey, can you look at these things for me? Hey, these things are going to be coming. So it can automatically do that for you. From an internal use, one of the cool things that we're able to do with, say, agency-generated documents is you might have one internal, like a use case would be that you create an actual form that you want completed every single time a new policy is added, right? So there's going to be a document that gets generated, it's housed on that account where the policy was created, and you want your CSR or your agent of record to complete this form. Maybe with, say, for example, let's get out here and let's go to Sales Center real quick. So maybe every single time workflow comes in here to Sales Center, maybe every time it hits the interview status, you want a document to be automatically generated, dropped onto that customer's account that has XYZ steps in place that the agent has to do. Maybe it's, hey, are you asking about this? Did you ask about that? Hey, it's a checklist that you want them to go through and print out. So there's a lot of different things that you can do from an auto-generate document standpoint that's really, really helpful here. And the kind of the primary idea of doing this is to help with your workplace efficiencies. If you can generate documents and have them shared to Client Center, or generate forms in order to have business practices in your agency standardized, that helps with this, right? So really, really cool addition. We're happy to have been able to provide those two new actions and filters to you as part of some Automation Center enhancements. The next thing I do want to note is if we come back here to this actual customer's account right here, Hank John, one thing that we have is going to be this option known as reload the workspace. So if we're in the process of maybe creating a note, right? Let's say we have a claim that we want to review. Please review the outstanding, and I'm going to stop. I got a phone call, right? Another customer of mine called in. I wasn't able to complete the note. And let's say that customer wants me to maybe go over and look at something on their account real fast. So let's say we navigate over to Ryan McCoy's account. He just wants to see maybe some policy information real fast. We get him that policy information. One thing that this is going to do is it's going to let you know that, oh, hey, by the way, you were creating a note back on Hank John's account. And the discussion that this note is for is on Hank Jones' account. So if you're wanting to make a note on Ryan McCoy's account, you're going to want to refresh this thing, right, to get to the right account so you're not notating the wrong thing. Same thing as if I come back to, say, Hank John's account. I'm back there. I'm good to go. It removes that actual warning for me because I'm back in the context of the account that I was working in. But let's go back over to, say, Ryan McCoy's account real fast. And let's say that we want to finish the note real fast. Please review outstanding claim. Right? And I go ahead and I save that note. That note is now saved on Hank John's account, even though I'm in the context of a distant customer. And if I want to get over to that new customer and maybe make a note there, all I have to do is just refresh it. Yeah, go ahead, and boom. I'm right there on Ryan McCoy's account. I can go ahead and put in whatever note I wanted to put in, and I'm good to go. So really, really helpful information to be aware of. Now, how does this work, this reload action? This reload action is going to work in the workspace when you're navigating to other customers' accounts. It's also going to work whenever you're in the task pane. So if we're in the task pane and we leave the context of, say, this customer and we go somewhere else, it's going to let you know, oh, hey, by the way, you're now in another account. You want to reload it to get the most relevant information for the account that you're on. So really, really cool information. Sorry for all the craziness right here. We've got a bunch of test data that's in here right now that we're looking at, but don't ignore that. The important thing here to reflect on and know is that we do provide you with this cool way to refresh information and retain information as you navigate through the system as we try to make the workspace more global in EZLynx. The final thing that we want to talk about, we can come back over here to, say, Hank John's account real fast. We want to talk about Client Center. So one of the things that's important, not Client Center, Connect. So one of the things that's really important with respect to Connect is some of the integrations, in order to access them, you had to be like on the quote result. So in order to access, say, ADT or flood insurance, you had to be in the context of the quote result page. Now that's not exactly convenient to actually go find a quote, go into the quote, find the integration and click on it. So what we've done now is we provided you with the ability to click this button, and this will launch the integration pane to show the available integrations that you can work with on this customer. Now this option only shows up when you're in the context of an actual customer. So if we were to click on it, we could go ahead and engage in Secure 24 or flood risk insurance. And let's go ahead and do that. So link's been sent over. ADT, hey, ADT integration has been sent. You don't have any quotes available for this integration, go create one. So it's going to let you know what you need to do in order to get started or get quoting. So if we had some quotes, we could select the quote that we wanted to. And matter of fact, let's go find an account that actually has some quotes on it real fast and see if we can actually do this. So here's an account. So here are the actual integrations right here inside of the actual client. Inside of the quoting process, if we go to, say, View Integrations, and let's say we go to Secure 24, I can select the quote that I recently worked with, and that quote information is what gets sent over to the vendor. Some of our vendors require some quote details or some applicant detail to be sent over. They're kind of rating specific, and that's what this does for you. This will allow you to select the quote, sends it over, but the important thing to note here is that no longer are you having to go all the way to the quote to find that stuff. We'll pull it up right there, and as long as you're able to interact with it, you can. Also, if you have some integrations that are not enabled that you want to add, you can add them directly here without having to actually go into Connect. And so that's really helpful too, right? That helps you guys out and be able to allow you to go about your day working without having to jump out of maybe, say, a customer that you're in. Finally, we continued our change reason expansion for new lines of business in Retention Center. So in Retention Center today, as a lot of you avid users of Retention Center might know, we summarized the premium bearing differences between the insurance policy, right, and the renewal that's coming from the carrier. And we do this in order to make things more efficient in your office so that you can quickly identify these changes and be able to let your insureds know what courses of actions need to happen next in the renewal process. So we've expanded the lines of business now that support change reasons, and those lines include, and let me read this for you because it's a long list: general liability, commercial property, workers' compensation, business owner's liability, commercial property, business owner's property, and then we have flood, mobile home, and earthquake. Total of 8 to round out the whole thing for you there. So a lot of new lines of business now supported in Retention Center for change reasons, and we're happy to bring that to you with this release. Finally, before we go, I do want to discuss our recent multi-factor authentication changes. As many of you may know, with this release, multi-factor authentication, or MFA, is now required for all users accessing EZLynx. MFA is probably one of the best ways to ensure that your EZLynx account is protected against phishing and other password theft scams that are out there. And there's a lot of them nowadays. So we want to make sure that your data is secure, which is why we're requiring it for all users now getting into the system. If you have any questions about this, or you want to know more information about why we've made this move and why MFA is important, I would highly encourage all of you to head over and to our EZLynx article this month. There is a section in there that talks about multi-factor authentication and its importance. Really great article. If you haven't read it, I really encourage you to. So that's all the time we have for the show today. I do want to thank all of you guys for watching. And until next time, like we do here in Texas, we'll see y'all next time. Bye, everybody.